The LEAP Foundation proudly presents the Meet the Mentor podcast with Dr. Bill Dorfman. Dr. Bill is a TV host, New York Times best-selling author, two-time Guinness World Book record holder, fitness guru, celebrity cosmetic dentist, and philanthropist who founded the LEAP Foundation. Here's Dr. Bill.
Hey, Dr. Bill here. I'm super excited for another Meet the Mentor interview. I'll tell you a little bit about Sergey in a moment. But before I do, what's this all about? Well, if you've never listened to our Meet the Mentor, here's the deal. Every year for the last 13 years, we've run a program called LEAP. LEAP is a motivational leadership program for high school and college students. The 2021 dates are July 18th to the 24th. It will be at the beautiful UCLA campus if we can meet in person. I just had a meeting with the LEAP team, and I think what we're going to do, we normally get about 450 students at UCLA live. I think we're going to pare it down and have about 50 students there live, socially distanced, and all vaccinated. And we will test each student every morning for COVID, and we will still run the virtual program. Last year, we had over 1,000 students on the virtual program. This year, my goal is to hit 10,000 students on the virtual program, 50 students live. So it's going to be a really exciting program. And what do we do at LEAP? We basically teach students the skills that they need to be successful in life. And we do it by bringing in amazing speakers, mentors. I mean, we've had Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins, Kathy Bates, Paula Abdul, Michael Strahan, Jason Alexander, Apollo Ono, the most decorated Winter Olympian in history. Chris Voss, my good friend, the New York Times bestselling author of Never Split the Difference, the FBI negotiator. My dear sweet friend, Tracy Bregman, who's been on The Young and the Restless since she was young and restless as a 19-year-old. And the program is phenomenal. We teach skills that students just don't learn in school, but that they really need to be successful in life. So check out LEAP. Go to our website. It is www.leapfoundation.com, and you can sign up for the live program or the virtual program today, but I hope to see you there. And without further ado, let me introduce you to Sergey. Now, the reason we started this podcast was because we had all these amazing speakers come and speak at LEAP, and the information was so valuable. I thought, this can't just live at LEAP. This really has to be available. And also, I didn't want students just going to LEAP and then thinking we forgot about them. You know, it wasn't like a kind of like a one and done thing. So by doing this podcast, we really stay in touch with our students throughout the year, their parents, their friends. We bring valuable information. And unlike other podcasts where we just talk about people's careers, I really ask each participant in the podcast to kind of give a little roadmap. So if a student is sitting at home and says, wow, I really love what Sergey's doing, and I want to do that, Sergey's going to tell you what you need to do and how you can best prepare so you can do that. So it's super exciting. So let me tell you a little bit about Sergey, and then we'll get right into it. Sergey Young is a longevity investor. You've never heard that term? He'll explain what it means. With a mission to extend healthy lifespans of at least 1 billion people, building on his investment expertise, which he'll tell you about, which spans over 20 years, Sergey founded the $100 million Longevity Vision Fund to accelerate life extension breakthroughs and to make them affordable and accessible to all. The investment focuses on Longevity Vision Fund and includes technologies, products, services, and ones that will extend healthy human lifespans and mitigate the negative effects of aging. Sergey Young, named one of the top 100 longevity leaders in the world, also manages $2 billion in private equity funds and heads Peak State Ventures, a US-based fund which focuses on new technologies in real estate, digital healthcare, and the future of work. Sergey is an innovator. He's on the board of the X Prize Foundation and Forbes Tech Council member. He lives with his family in the UK. Currently, though, he is in his homeland of Russia. So, Sergey, welcome to Meet the Mentor.
Hi, Dr. Bill. Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
What city are you in right now, Sergey?
Yeah, I'm in Moscow. As we discussed, I came here in March last year for literally a few weeks to take care of my mom. She had a stroke. She's fine now. But it was like because of the lockdown in London and in Moscow and all around the world, it's been the longest few weeks in my life in the other location. But it's good to be back. I spent outside Russia the last 20 years, investing mostly in US, living in UK. So it's feels good.
Well, for our friends in Moscow and Russia who are going to be listening to this, you can say something in your native language to them, welcoming to our podcast. Go ahead.
Привет. Привет. Yeah, which is hi. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's kind of start at the beginning. You grew up in Moscow. Tell me how you kind of went from Moscow to ending up in the UK.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting story. At this time, it was roughly a little bit more than 20 years ago. I was working in Arthur Andersen in global accounting and audit firm as a consultant, and we had a competition in all European offices for a few places to do Master of Business Administration in one of the UK universities. And as I remember, for Moscow office, it was like 2 places, and we had 120 candidates. And I still remember I arrived, it was Saturday, I arrived to the office to discover that the deadline for application was Friday. But I'm the man who never gives up. So I called hotline, asked them for deadline extension till Monday, submitted the application, fight for that, and bingo. I was one of these 2 people who had a opportunity to move to UK and study there, do business administration, and continue my career there. So
all right, wait. Yeah. We need to back up for a second because there's a very important lesson here. And one of the things that we preach at Leap is this: successful people are willing to do the things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. You could have walked into the office on that weekend and said, I missed the deadline. Oh, well, but you didn't do that. You thought, oh no, I missed the deadline. Let me see if I can get an extension. You got the extension, and then you end up being one of the 2 people that was selected. Back 20 years ago, it wasn't that easy to go from, Russia to the UK.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, that's one of the lessons that I had in life. Never give up. As I remember, I think it was Walt Disney. He got 300 no before when he was pitching his Disneyland idea, before he got strong yes, right? 300 times. This man has been rejected with this beautiful idea. And you know what? Right now we can enjoy Disneyland, pretty much everywhere in the world.
And you know what I tell students also is, just because somebody says no, don't look at that as failure. If somebody tells you something, or if you try something and it doesn't come out the way you want, that's not failure. That's practice for success. You just keep doing it again and again and again until you succeed, because you really only fail, Sergey, when you quit. And if you're not a quitter, you never have to fail in life, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And I use Jeff Bezos as a mentor. I mean, he doesn't know me, right? But because of the reality of today's world, I had an opportunity just to listen to his speech somewhere. And I remember his words, The direct quote was, "We love failures at Amazon because we learn from it." So, that's just another, piece of wisdom that I used in life. And well, again, in the beauty of today, that you don't need to work directly with Jeff or with guys like Elon Musk or this amazing Chris Voss to learn from them. Yeah. You just buy their book, you read it. Yeah, Chris wrote an amazing book, Never Split the Difference, right? With Tel Russ. Right. Or you just listen to Jeff, or you listen to podcasts. I mean, you go to the program that you do at UCLA, right? Or you listen to this podcast, and you use these people as mentors, a role models. So, well, that's what Jeff Bezos told me without actual knowledge that I was recipient of this knowledge. We love failures, we learn from it, and well, this is my motto.
Yeah, and at Leap we say copy genius, and that's exactly what it is. Look, when I started practicing in Beverly Hills, you think they needed another cosmetic dentist? Forget it. No, I went and I shadowed the 5 most successful dentists there and copied all the great things that they were doing and made my practice even better than theirs. So here you are, this kid struggling in Russia. And by the way, American kids, they have no idea what Russia was like back then. Maybe before we move on, you can give them a little idea, because when we were talking about this in the pre-interview, I was blown away. Like, we didn't realize the level of poverty. We don't think of Russia as a third world country. We just don't. And maybe you can give them a little inside view of, what your childhood was like in Russia before we move on.
Well, that's a great question. It's a story which is more about Soviet Union, right? When we had communism, equal distribution of wealth and products and services. I mean, Russia has changed a lot since that. But I mean, if we go back 40, 45 years ago, I'm 49 today, right? So my childhood, I would wake up Saturday 5 a.m. because during and go to the shop and queue. Well, probably from 5 a.m. I would just stay in the queue for 3 hours, freezing in the middle of strong Russian winter, and just waiting for our portion of milk and opportunity to buy bread and some other stuff for my family. So that's how life was 40 years ago there. And this
every
is
day.
I did it every week because we didn't have a luxury of supplying the products in a small provincial town every day. So they usually arrive like Friday, it's there, and then on Saturday when people are out from work and they can actually spend hours in the queue to get provision, to get food for the family. This is where we stayed. We had money, we just didn't have an opportunity to buy anything for this money. So this is how communists worked back then. Really right now is pretty much different, but it was a great environment for me to grow stronger and to grow through these challenges and appreciate small things in life.
And so you grow up in Russia, and then about 20 years ago, you win this contest where you're allowed to go to the UK, and you really started your career in finance. It had nothing to do with longevity, and we're going to have to define what you're doing in longevity right now. But why don't you kind of talk about the beginning of your career in finance and how that all happened?
Yeah, so I am an investor, and for the last 20 years, I've been working as a financial advisor or as a principal investor, which means people give me the money to manage, to do investment on their behalf, and I'm the one who's making all the decision. In opposite, when you talk about investment advisors or financial advisors, well, this is your opportunity to speak to someone's ear and present your view, and then they decide, they take responsibility for their own investment decision. So that's like a difference. I started as advisor, and I probably around 10 years ago, I ended up with investment principles, which means, much larger degree of flexibility and opportunity to invest in themes, sectors, and emerging industries which I find pretty exciting. So I went through this study. I've done degree in business administration. It was actually my third degree. And because the first one was chemical engineering, and engineering was good in terms of structuring my mind. The second one, actually, banking and insurance. So that's like financial aspect of that. And third was business administration. And probably business.
Where did you do each of these, Sergey?
So the first two ones I've done at Moscow, at Moscow University. So that's I think it's goes to one of the top 100 in the world. It's like super old. It's been established probably more than 200 years ago, 250. And then the third degree I've done business administration. I've done in Warwick Business School in UK. And obviously the quality and approach of either British or American education is very much different. So how we started this during Soviet times. So it's amazing. After that, I do a lot of short courses, but I always trying to do it in US. So it's like Singularity University, going to the places in California on the East Coast and just doing 3 to 5 days courses. And right now you can do it online as well. So this continuous learning process that I set up for myself. This time it's not like you spend like 4 years somewhere and then you're equipped with your knowledge for the rest of your life. It's continuous learning, something
so you're working as a financial advisor, and then through your life you kind of came up with this little challenge with your health, with your cholesterol, and you started to learn more and more about this space, and that's when you started to venture more into becoming a longevity investor. Like, I never even heard this term longevity investor, but I think it's a very interesting thing because the technologies that are out there today to extend people's lives and give us a better quality of life and health are very exciting. And so, just to summarize, you were kind of investing all over the board. Then you had this little health crisis that maybe you can talk about, and then it really helped you kind of narrow your focus. Say, what, I love this space of longevity. This is what I really want to focus on. So maybe you can talk about that transition to us.
Great. So a few years ago, I went to doctor, and I was like typical career man. As you know, Dr. Bill, I spent my, the beginning of my life, working full time, studying full time, because I was in need to support my parents and my big family, not in the opposite direction because of the collapse of Soviet Union, right? So, I started to, do this, over focus on my career. I forgot about my health. I've got my, diagnostics outcome from my blood test. I discovered I have high cholesterol level. 40% of people in the world have high cholesterol level. But the problem is, if you have this, you need to take the pill every day until the last day of your life. So at this point of time, I thought, okay, I'll just face the health crisis, and I will need to take a pill every day for another 40 years. Well, I thought, okay, what are the alternatives? And doctor told me, well, Sergey, everyone knows what to do, but no one does it. So I recommend that, to do pills. But alternative is do physical exercise, change your diet to the more kind of plant-based healthy food, and take some supplements like omega-3, vitamin D, etc. So I've done it in the course of 6 months. My cholesterol level went down exactly to the level which I would reach if I would just be on a drug, on the statins. This is the name of the drug, of the class of the drug, for the rest of my life. And I thought, okay, wow, our body has this amazing capability to solve our health problem. Not all of them, obviously, right? But for some basic disease that I had, I thought, okay, well, there's always an alternative. So I started to discover what are the scientific, what are the most technologically driven way to solve the health crisis that we have on the planet, that we have in US. How do we take care of that? And I discovered that behind the scene, there's a lot of things happening in scientific laboratories, and just enormous technologies are currently in a stage of development, which would be able and available to us in the next 5 to 10 years and will help us to extend healthy and happy portion of our life. I thought it's amazing. So that's why I set up this Longevity Vision Fund. So I can support entrepreneurs, young talents, which are working on that. So, and in my mission to change 1 billion lives all around the planet, bring affordable and accessible version of healthcare and longevity to the world, technology is amazing because of, every technology, the cost of it is decreasing exponentially. So that's why we can, help pretty much everywhere with these inventions.
So you set up this $100 million fund really targeting products and companies that, focus on longevity. Maybe you can share with us like your 3 top, most exciting companies that you're working with right now. What fields you think are really probably, the most influential?
Well, 3 things, and again, they're all going to be available to us in the next 5, 10, 20 years. But this is the technologies of the future. So one thing is gene editing and gene therapy, right? This is our ability to alter, to fix some genetic problems that we had, from the beginning of this life. And in some of the cases, we call it rare disease or orphan disease or genetic disease. People suffer, people die at the age of 5, 10, 17 because there's no cure for this genetic disease. If you've been unlucky with genetic lottery, it's just very difficult for you to live normal life. So this is why I find exciting our ability to alter this and help people. And then we in developed world, in US, we use this term rare disease, but actually there's 400 million people suffering from it all around the world. It's roughly like 5% of the population of this planet. That's why I'm very excited that we'll have an ability to fix, which was unfixable through the whole evolution of human life. So that's super important. So the second thing which I'm particularly excited about is our ability to regenerate and replace organs. I mean, of course, if you're okay on genetic side and you live a healthy life, you might not need it. But people are very different. We have very different needs. And right now, if you think about organ transplantation, this is a super expensive procedure. So think about liver. People recipients waiting for donors to donate their liver for a month. Sometimes it's year plus. And 50% of the people die while waiting for that. So that's one problem. The other problem is super expensive. It's $800,000, which you would need to spend, to pay for the surgery to have a new liver transplanted to you from the other donor. So that's 1-to-1 donor to recipient relationship. We just invested in a company. They're based in Pittsburgh. It's called Genesis. What they do, they're using our lymph nodes inside our body to regrow artificial livers, which can replace the function of this liver or some other non-functioning organs. And then donor liver, they can use to help 50, 70 people. So the cost of this surgery goes down exponentially, and we can save 30, 50, 70 lives from one donor. So that's just another exciting technology. And final one is we're looking at some futuristic technologies as well, like human avatars, human brain, and artificial intelligence integration. So it's really far down the line. It's probably not necessarily 10, 20, 25, 50 years from now. But that's amazing that we'll have an ability to coexist with artificial intelligence, with supercomputers, and be the best version of ourselves.
And what's the third one?
Yeah, so when we talk about the third one, for me, it's either human avatars or longevity in the pills. So right now, pills are dedicated to a particular disease. This is in the next 10 years in US and in the world, we're going to have this special version of drugs, the pills, who would fight the overall process of aging. Because whether we want it or not, starting from age roughly 45, we all experience slight decline in our body and mind performance. This is the process called aging. This is the mechanism of evolution. And this is what I want to fight. I just want to compress morbidity. I want to give people 5, 10, 20, another additional healthy and happy years in their life, so they can realize their dreams, spend time with the loved ones, and do some interesting things in their life, change career, or do something great for the planet.
That's awesome. Now, if I were a student in high school or college watching this, and I really wanted to explore a career like Sergey did, what are some steps you would recommend that they take?
Okay, just to be very specific. So, well, let's just think, about the skills that I used through this career or I'm using now. Well, number one, it is about negotiation. It is about interpersonal communication. It is about debate, right? So, Chris was, again, his name is coming up third time in this session. It's just this amazing book, Never Split the Difference. And I'm pretty sure he has particular online course or whatever negotiation course or debate team or debate club that you can join, because it's all the business is human, working, negotiating, debating, or coexisting with human. So this is what you need to do. So that's one. Second, well, it's just, if you think about longevity, if you think about human biology, this is super complex thing. And in super complex thing, you need to dig into details of that. So take biology courses. And the beauty of today that you have a lot of online platforms like Udemy, which offers highest quality courses on the human biology or genetic engineering, or drug development, anything which you find interesting in that you should learn. So human biology, complex, take some time that you invest studying the biological side of our existence. So that would be my second advice. The third advice is it's difficult to learn investments without making or losing your own money. Okay, so I'm not suggesting you to take the last dollar that you have and investing in some risky adventure. But what I'm doing, even with my kids, I'm father of 4 kids. So there's a portion of weekly allowance that I call investment pocket, and I buy them 1 or 2 stocks of the companies that I like, right? Like Amazon that they know, or bank that we're using, or Disney or Netflix. So they kind of know that, oh, okay, my Netflix shares are up, 20% for the last year. Well, that's great. It's good that I didn't, left this money in my, in my bank, in my kids' room, etc. And then, oh wow, what is happening with Amazon? It went up, this amount of percent. So it's just much easier and more practical to run with doing your own stuff there, even in insignificant, smaller scale, because then you get the most practical experience. You got your failures, your success. You can learn from it. So if you want to be investor from the beginning. With the current platforms, you don't need to, be super rich to invest, to get this investment experience. So that would be my third advice. And fourth one is the legal side of our life, because every investment transaction it requires legal documentation, right? And obviously, being a lawyer or being professional on legal matters takes a lot of years of study and experience. But just think, be curious, look at the contracts that you're signing, contracts some of your family members signing, or join or take any electives or the small courses which would give you some basics of legal stuff. I mean, again, you don't need to be professional. I want you to understand the context, how it works in the legal world. So that's super helpful as well. And it's a lot of soft stuff. Just learn from failure. Don't think that it's something dramatic, and do a lot of small experiments to learn from that.
That's cool. All right. So what's next for Sergey?
Look, what's next for me? So I'm trying to, for my life, not to be only financially successful, but also interesting. So I've been to North Pole, I've been to South Pole, And right now, I want to go to space. Okay. It's still very risky. You need to have a lot of money to do that. So I'm waiting for, cost of going to space decrease exponentially. So it's going to be more affordable. And but I'm really fascinated by opportunity for the humanity to go outside the Earth. I know it sounds a little bit idealistic, but this is my long-term dream.
No, that's cool. If students are interested in contacting you, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, the best way, I have this wonderful website called sergeyyoung.com. I'll send you the details so you can put.
And you're launching a book soon, yes?
Oh, yeah. So one is sergeyyoung.com. There's the opportunity to sign up for my newsletters. I just written my first book. It's called 10 Simple Principles of a Healthy Diet. And
cool.
It's very simple book. It's available on Amazon. We published this in December, so it's like month and a half old. But it's like really simple way to start your longevity journey. How you can sustain and support your body and mind in a healthy way for that. And my bigger book called Science and Technology of Growing Young, which is Science and Technology of Longevity. How to be a longevity investor. How does it feel? What are the most exciting technologies? Going to be published in August this year.
Cool. Sergey, thank you so much. I hope that the next time you're in the Los Angeles area, we can meet in person. I really appreciate your taking the time, sharing your knowledge with our students. And I wish you the best of luck and a speedy recovery for your father. And thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bill, thank you very much. And, please, to all your audience, stay healthy and happy.
All right. Take care. Dr. Bill, over and out.
To learn more about the Leap Foundation, go to leapfoundation.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Leap Foundation or on Instagram at Leap Foundation. Listen to the Meet the Mentor podcast with Dr. Bill Dorfman on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.